Welcome to another OU Insider Under the Visor YouTube Live powered by Jani-King. My name is Brandon Drumm. Parker Thune, Spencer Forsythe on the board. What a week. What a week. But before we get into all of that, Parker, let's pay some bills.
Yes, folks, this episode of OU Insider Live and every episode of OU Insider Live is powered by Jani-King, the greatest team to ever clean, and a proud partner of OU Athletics. They deliver spotless results from stadiums to any size business across the country. You can check them out at janiking.com for unbeatable commercial cleaning services. That's JANIKING.com. This episode also brought to you in part by Prize Picks. Okay, Brandon, what's the play of the week for you this week on Prize Picks? You rolling with NFL? You dipping your toes into NBA? What do you got?
So I want to rehash last week.
Okay.
I actually played Jalen Milroe, and I believe his rushing yards was like 82, something to that extent, and I took less.
Good.
Nailed that because
you're a richer man. Congratulations.
Well, here's the deal. I went with my heart and not my gut. My gut said he might go over, even though OU's defense was notoriously a really good rushing defense, but just how the season went, just the luck, I was like, oh, well, probably. But I was wishing on a prayer and it came true. So, and let's roll into that, Parker.
Yes, folks,
let's roll
Prize
into that.
Picks is the best place to get real money sports action with over 10 million members and billions of dollars in awarded winnings. Prize Picks has made daily fantasy sports accessible to all. You just pick more or less on at least two players for a shot to win up to 100 times your cash. Run your game all season long on Prize Picks, which now offers Venmo for quick and easy deposits and withdrawals into your account this sports season. Think Justin Jefferson's going to get more than 83.5 yards this week. Lamar Jackson throw for more than 1.5 touchdowns. He's already hit the over on 1.5 total touchdowns tonight against the Chargers. I've got one eye on that game because I have a very consequential fantasy football matchup that hinges on Ladd McConkey's performance. But if you download the app today and you use code OU Insider, you get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. Again, code OU Insider gets you $50 immediately after you play your first $5 lineup. Prize Picks, run your game. And let's launch into it, Brandon. First things first. You have to imagine Michael Fusi woke up Sunday with some mixed emotions. Great to see the school that he is currently committed to win a football game in blowout fashion against a marquee opponent. But it also kind of has to suck that he wasn't there to see it, especially when that was his initial plan, was to be in Norman this past Saturday for the game. Instead, he went to Austin, got to see a ho-hum Longhorn victory, and all that happened at Owen Field was the most memorable game on those grounds in years, Brandon.
Yeah. You know what? I'm going to say it. I love my children, but I'm kind of upset I wasn't there. So I was doing a dad thing, watching my kid play, but coaching. But yeah, dude, but Susie, man, I talked to him a little bit. Yeah, he's a little disappointed that he missed it, but at the same time, he, like you said, he was mixed. He was stoked. He said, I watched it on the way home from his Texas visit that his parents weren't with, by the way. And that, I think people need to understand how consequential that is in the recruitment, because when you're dealing with Dominican, Jamaican, North African descent, all of that, there's a certain familia type of bond and structure that they abide by when it comes to big decisions. It's very different than your day-to-day Americans, right? So he stated it in an interview, actually, to me, that anything about flipping was going to be decided. It's just going to be decided with the whole family. He said, they're going to have to flip my family as well, because they're a very big part of it. So he said it. He goes, man, my family wasn't there. So it was fun visit. And that's what it was a fun visit for him. And I've talked to some people, Parker, and I want people to understand this. This isn't like he's looking around to flip. He's being actually relatively smart about it. Yeah, it's kind of goes against what Oklahoma is about when it's commitment, right? You don't visit when you commit to Oklahoma. But in this instance, what can Oklahoma do? What can they say to him? What threat? What grounds? What measures? What leverage does Oklahoma have right now? They have none. He has all the leverage, and you don't have an OC. He has to trust you right now, which he's doing by still staying committed publicly and saying all the right things. And as long as Bill Bedenbaugh's there and they stay true to that, I I wholeheartely believe that he will be a Sooner. And that's just my conversations with him. That's people I talk to. I it's very, very, what's the word I'm looking for, Parker? It's a delicate situation because if there's any movement and he feels like there's any sort of situation where he's going to sign and then they're going to let Bill Bedenbaugh go, um, I I don't know how that would work, but if I'm him and you have any sort of inkling that could possibly happen, he's probably going to sign somewhere else. But at this juncture, I don't expect Bill Bedenbaugh to be anywhere else but Oklahoma next year. And because of that, you're probably going to end up with Fusi, Foj, and Afalava because if you lose Bedenbaugh, you're losing all three of those. And that would be devastation. Just devastating.
It would. Now, folks, this is where I remind you as we get rolling here that if you toss
Yes,
us
his
a
dad and
super
his whole family is what I was talking about there, Chuck. By the way, go ahead.
yeah, if you toss us a super chat, that is the easiest way. That is the way to make sure that your question gets answered, that we discuss your desired topic. We can't promise that we will be able to address every single standard chat that rolls in because hundreds of you watch this every week and they pile up very quickly. But you send us a super chat of any amount, we will answer your question. We will discuss whatever topic you would like us to discuss. That is the promise that we make to you every week. And we're going to get the super chat party rolling here with a $5 contribution from Blake Wilson. Blake, thanks so much. He says, "Hey, Parker and Brandon, can OU hire Kevin Wilson back to OU? Need that high scoring offense again." Listen, Blake, I've never, well, I shouldn't say never. I have interacted with Kevin Wilson personally once. It was a very surface level interaction. Um, I don't have a whole lot of context, not much of a frame of reference for Kevin Wilson as a coach. Obviously, his time at Oklahoma as offensive coordinator long preceded my time on the beat. I think I might have been 12 years old when Kevin Wilson moved on from Oklahoma. I will say this: the
How old were
story
you in 2012? How old were you?
was it 2012? I thought it was
2011,
2010.
20, was it 2010?
I thought 2010 was his last year at OU.
Yeah, okay, 2010. Excuse me. How old were you? Were
So
you
yeah,
11?
I would have been 11. Um,
Damn, you're so young.
how about that? Um, the stories that have come out of his tenure at Tulsa, brief as it may have been, they kind of illustrate why his tenure was as brief as it was because it says something about that university and the decision makers that they were willing to eat almost $6 million to get out of Kevin Wilson's contract before his second season as head coach was over. By all accounts, it was a disaster. And so I truly don't know whether you want to run it back with Kevin Wilson at this point. From everything I've come to understand, it's just kind of a scenario where the game seems to have passed him by stylistically.
Mm-hmm.
And so, like, look, he did great things at Oklahoma, was the architect of some of the most prolific offenses in the history of the program. Do you want to run it back 15 years later? I don't really think so. Not based on what I've heard.
Uh, I'll even add a little bit of extra context to it. I seriously doubt it. Not saying he and Venables don't get along. I'm gonna say that I don't know that their personalities would be cohesive in an offensive coordinator head coach situation, if that makes sense. Now, could by some chance he get some sort of analyst position potentially? Bob Stoops talks him into it. DeMarco Murray, Josie, those type of guys talk BV into allowing that to be around the offices. Maybe I could potentially see that going down, but that's about it, Parker, that I could see as far as Kevin Wilson stepping foot in a actual job position within the Switzer Center.
Yeah.
Like,
By the way, somebody in the chat asked if Xavier Robinson has unblocked me. I don't know, but we are actively working to resolve the
Did you tweet
situation.
that? Did you tweet about it?
Yes.
I can. I promise you, I'll get that fixed. And I look. Timber Crossings.
We are working
finest.
towards a resolution.
Yes.
Anybody who knows me knows. Look, I have never and will never say a bad word about any football player personally. Now, if they play poorly, I might be willing to just up and acknowledge that they play poorly, because that's part of the job, is being intellectually honest. So I'm not going to be afraid to say when a guy isn't holding up his end of the bargain on the football field. But obviously that is not the case for Xavier Robinson. He's been spectacular ever since he got in the starting lineup. And look, anytime this happens, and it does happen from time to time in this line of work, whether it's a coach or a player, I am always open and willing to hash it out man to man. And if that's what needs to happen, that's what will happen. But it's, from what I have understood so far, it just comes down to a misunderstanding. So we'll get it resolved. Thank you for your concern, though. John-May Myrick. Actually, we'll do this in the order that they were received. So Marcus Caps got his in right before John-May's. We'll hit these back to back. Marcus Caps gave us $10. Thank you, Marcus. You guys said that there will be some guys to enter the portal that will sting. Any idea of how many guys or how many that would be starters and that could shell shock the fan base? There's no answer to that question right now, Marcus, much as I would love to give you one, because a lot is going to depend on how these individual postseason meetings go between staff and players. That will go a long way towards dictating whether or not some of these guys choose to enter the portal. Because, quite frankly, I think there are quite a few dudes right now that are members of the football team at the University of Oklahoma that could either be talked into or talked out of the portal, depending on how those meetings go. There are some guys that will have to get cut. Brent Venables talked about that last week. It is an uncomfortable and unfortunate reality of the present day in college football, where the roster size is about to get trimmed to an absolute cap of 105 players, and there will be some difficult conversations that have to be had. But I certainly do expect that there will be several players that enter the portal from this football team that the Sooners do not want to see depart, that this staff does not want to see depart. And it's just kind of a natural consequence of all the turmoil that has mounted this season. Some of it you have seen, some of it you haven't. But I do think that getting that win against Alabama on Saturday was huge, not just for the sake of getting this team bowl eligible, but it's kind of a galvanizer. It felt like that was a very unifying win for this football program. Does that solve all the problems that cropped up over the first 10 weeks of the season? By no means, but it certainly helps soothe the sting.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. I don't know that you can just wash away the first 10 games of the year or anything like that. And they took place. I was talking to my son today, and my wife was like, man, if Oklahoma would have played just a smidge like that against Ole Miss in the second half, a smidge like that against Tennessee, a smidge like that against Missouri, do people realize they have 9 wins at that juncture? Like, think about that. Even with a putrid offense, the defense has been so good in causing turnovers and putting the offense in at least in decent position to go down and put points on the board that they have been unable to do all year, that all it would have taken is just a few plays here or there, and you're looking at a completely different record. And most teams can't say that. There are 1,000 things that go wrong in a season, and it's usually blowouts, right? You lose by a fair amount. Oklahoma hasn't been doing that. In Venable's tenure, it's always been a game. When they say it's a game of inches, it literally has been a game of inches with his tenure as far as wins and losses go, particularly on the loss side. And this year is again that year. It just, if they could have just found a pulse, just a like a faint heartbeat, Parker, just a faint heartbeat on offense, you could have 9 wins. You probably would have been one of the worst 12-team playoff entrances of all time. Whatever, you would one of the worst 4-team playoff entrances of all time as well at some juncture. So you still made it. That's still going to help you move the program forward. If they can finish, like, I don't even think it's out of the question at this juncture. If you go down and beat LSU this weekend, you're 7-5 and looking at 8-5. If somebody was said, I think Oklahoma's going to be 8-5 at the end of the season on November 1st, I would have laughed at your ass so hard. Because it was unfathomable to think about. And Jesse said it best whenever the job opened up. I think we were in South Carolina, and he said, the weirdest part about college football is that every week changes everybody's feelings, because it's a lifetime in college football. Everybody wanted BV gone, and now everybody's like, it's moving back in the right direction. And it's amazing how that works.
Well, and that's why I caution against moving forward with the expectation that all is fine and well behind the scenes at OU because they just beat Alabama. Yeah, everybody's riding a high, no doubt, but you're still going to have to reckon with some uncomfortable departures at season's end, in my mind. And so it's not all good. It's not all bad. It's never as good as you think it is. It's never as bad as you think it is. But this one win against Alabama, climactic and significant as it may have been, does not erase some of the issues that this program is going to have to deal with this offseason. Jonna May Myrick gave us $20. Thank you.
Thank you.
And she says, besides Fusi, what's the mindset of our other commits? I tell you, if you're a member at ouinsider.com, you've got to be blown away by the work that our newest edition, Zach Libby, did over the weekend in compiling recruit reaction from OU's upset win over Alabama. Libby talked to over 65 recruits.
Good
65
Lord.
recruits, and quoted all of them in one enormous intel piece at ouinsider.com that essentially just compiled everybody's thoughts on the game, what everybody walked away thinking. And that right there, I mean, there is no better promo for membership at ouinsider.com than that. 65 recruits, folks. Libby did the Lord's work this weekend. So you want to know what all those kids thought, and they range from the 2025 class to the 2028 class. Commits, targets, otherwise. He talked to everybody. And so ouinsider.com is where you can find all of those reactions. If you talk to commits in the 2025 class, and we've been in touch with numerous commits in the last week or two as things have gotten a little bit dicey, as the struggles have mounted for Oklahoma, and obviously after Kevin Sperry flipped to Florida State last week, the group of 20, and I'll tell you what Elijah Thomas told me. If this isn't a verbatim quote, it's very, very close to it. Elijah Thomas told me Friday night out in Bristow after his game that this group of 20 verbal commits in the 2025 class is closer than anybody understands. And so,
and he's the leader of it too, by the way.
And he is. Elijah Thomas has been the linchpin of Oklahoma's 2025 class. Elijah Thomas has always been that guy. He has been the glue guy. Marcus Wimberly has been instrumental as well. Tory Blaylock has been a very vocal recruiter. Ryan Foje, man, that dude has been as locked in gets ever since he committed to Oklahoma back in February. So to answer your question, Jonna May, I think this class is solid. I think they all stick at this point.
I agree. I mean, I don't see a lot of reason for them to go anywhere. The one thing you can say is, okay, you might lose Joe John Finley, you might lose. I mean, I don't know who else. I don't know who else. I think he might be the lone guy that may go somewhere, and rightfully so. He wants to be a play caller, and it doesn't seem like he's going to get that shot. The one thing I will say in all of this is, and nobody's really talked about the quarterback situation. I'm literally texting back and forth with Jameer and Ficklin's dad as we're talking. That's why I keep grabbing my phone and going back and forth. So, um, it, the visit was supposed to be Wednesday. They haven't talked to OU today yet. They're still kind of working through some things on how they're going to attack this. And I would suspect that by tomorrow they have a pretty good idea where this thing's going to go. And I would imagine because he lives in Muskogee, you can just hop in the car
Yep.
and go down there. They'll probably just be like, "Hey, can you all be here tomorrow morning at such and such time?" And
Easy plans to make.
easy plans to make. Like it's real
You
simple. So
you can
it,
miss school to take a
there's
football
no
visit
school.
to
It's
University
Thanksgiving
of
break.
Oklahoma.
It's
Oh, that's
Thanksgiving
right.
break.
They do. Yeah, they get Thanksgiving break.
Yeah, Friday. Since last Friday, everybody's been out. So I mean,
Oh, is that how they do it now? Man,
yes.
that's luxurious.
Everybody gets over a week now, and you get like 10 or 15 or four, you get 10 or yeah 10 days of like Monday through Friday of spring break now too. It's crazy.
Man, I've been out of the game too long. Um, Mongo in the super chat says, "Shout out to Will Truby and congrats to Kobe and Kinsey on your engagement." How about that? Kinsey McKinsey is happening, Brandon.
Oh, that's right. Yep, that is. Congratulations to Kobe, man. That's really cool. That was a cool video. Very cool video. I remember watching him for the first time in person as a sophomore, by the way. And
Did you have to go all the way out to Lubbock,
no, I was down. Will
Wichita Falls?
Will would have to um oh yeah, you're not getting unblocked by Xavier.
What? Unbelievable.
Oh, that's kind of funny, man. That's kind of funny.
Unbelievable.
Anyways, yeah, no, hey, so I think he's messing with you by far. Like he's getting a good kick out of this. Um anyways, so yeah, no, I remember he was just such a he's changed his body so much since then, but I watched him literally, and I wish I had it on a video and his dad would have to tell you. I don't remember where exactly we were. I want to say we were in Wichita Falls, and he would have to, I hope he's on here watching. He decleated the dude's cleats came off. He hit the dude so hard going across the middle.
I don't believe you, but
Literally,
okay.
no, the kid's cleat came off.
Oh, just one cleat now.
One cleat came off.
Okay.
The right foot just flew off. The dude was going over the middle like this, and he like literally decleated the dude.
Yeah.
It was
No,
hilarious.
so I got to watch Kobe in high school once as well, and he has reshaped his body because he played his senior year like 240 or something like that. I remember national scouting personnel thinking, and this guy might end up being a defensive end, but he's turned out to be a linebacker, a true linebacker, and a good one. But he's still like, I have never seen anybody lay a harder hit on anyone at the high school level than I watched Kobe McKenzie lay on. I forget who Cooper was playing. It was one of those Wichita Falls teams, but man, he made this one hit, and you could, I mean, it resounded through the whole stadium. It was a thwack, and everybody everybody in the stands on either side just kind of collectively went,
Yeah,
"That was
man.
Kobe. That still is Kobe. He's a hitter." Shaggy the Muslim gave us $5. Interesting handle, but thank you, Shaggy the Muslim. What do you guys think of the defense going into next year? It's broad, Brandon, but overall thoughts?
Be awesome. Like we talked about it on the post game pod. So you're gonna tell me, in a perfect world, you're going to have Eli Bowen, Gentry Williams, Jacoby Johnson, and Devon Jordan as your corners next year. Sign me up for that. Your safeties are going to be RSJ, Michael Boganowski, and Peyton Bowen. With there's a good chance Reggie Powers is playing Cheetah with Kendall Dolby back. Sign me up for that. Jaden Jackson, David Stone, Grayson Halton. Who else am I missing at the defensive tackle coming back?
Marcus Strong. Did you mention Marcus Strong?
Marcus Strong, Champ,
Champ Sanders.
Champ
Yep.
Sanders.
And
And
I
then
think that
obviously
will be
Trent
it.
Wilson, and then whoever they get in the portal. Nope. Dominic Williams, obviously.
Obviously.
Well, I mean, I said perfect world. I said
Oh,
in a
okay.
perfect world. And then your DNs, you got our Mason Thomas. You're gonna have PJ with hopefully two better ankles. You're gonna have Danny Okoye. I know he deleted a tweet tonight where he was tired of the crap and all that.
Yeah, I figured that tweet would get deleted as soon as I saw it. I was
Yeah,
like, oh,
yeah, and
that's
I just think he's frustrated because he's not getting the playing time as a freshman, and that happens, guys. I just don't. I can't fathom you worrying too much about that just right now.
Yeah. Well, and he's got to understand that, the Sooners are graduating 3 defensive ends that have all
He's going to be
contributed
a
a
dude next
lot
year.
this season.
Yep.
Ethan Downs, Caden Woolard, Trace Ford, all 3 of those guys are done
Yep.
at season's end. So
The
there's going
defense
to
is going to
be
be awesome.
there's
It's
going to
going to be
be some
awesome.
runway. There's going to be a lot of runway.
Losing Stutzman sucks, but at the same time, you see what Tim can do. Kip Lewis, obviously, you see what Kobe. Who else are we thinking about here, Parker?
The 3 full-time dudes, we're talking full-time, like every snap type of guys that you have to replace, are Stutzman, Bowman, and Downs. Easier said than done, but you have the pieces, right? So that safety room is unbelievable.
Yeah.
That safety room's amazing. You're going to have the piece, like, even to use Moneyball terms, even if you can't replace Billy Bowman, you can recreate him in the aggregate with what Brandon Hall has accumulated as far as his depth in that room. Danny Stutzman, I mean, he's your heart and soul. Somebody's going to have to step up. I trust that somebody will, whether that is Kobe McKenzie in a full-time role, whether that's a guy like Lewis Carter, maybe Sammy Omasigo slides inside and gets some more run with Kendall Dolby coming back for another year at that Cheetah spot, which is huge, by the way.
Mm-hmm.
And then defensive end, yeah, man, I can see them going back to the portal for another defensive end. You lose 3, you bring in 2 from the recruiting trail. So you would presume that means they go and get a guy at least in the portal at that position. I think this defense absolutely has the potential to be even better next year. And they're really good right now. I think they have the opportunity to be even better. And I say that because, yes, you're losing 3 excellent football players, but you're only losing 3 excellent football players at positions, mind you, where there are plenty of guys that are ready to step up and take their best shot at filling those shoes. Multiple guys. It's not as if you're relying on one dude.
Well, let's say they decided, okay, and I don't know why you would feel the need to do this with how loaded the linebacker spot is. But let's say BB, there's somebody in the portal that they see that they really, really like and think can come in and start and really make a difference in that unit. They could probably get them. You look at the Butkus Award finalists this year, and Homeboys coached 2 of them.
Yeah, Barrett Carter and Danny Stutzman.
I mean, like, come on now. that is not the best selling point ever. It's like, hey, if you want to be up for Butkus finalists, come on over here to Oklahoma, man. I'll get you right. And I promise you, I did it at Clemson. I did it at Oklahoma previously, and I'm doing it again. Look now. And I mean, that's a simple thing to do. I guess it's easier said than done because NIL, but yeah, it's simple in the fact that I think Oklahoma's going to pay out this offseason too.
David Chamberlain in the chat says, Parker declined my friend request on the gram. Hurt my feelings. Listen, David, I'm sorry. It's nothing personal. Notre Dame fans ruined this for you because back during the Peyton Bowen saga, my Instagram was public at the time, and Notre Dame fans blew up the comments of basically every single one of the posts on my page with trolling. And so it was that point that I was like, you know what? Instagram, I'm just going to go ahead and take private, and I'm only going to approve people whom I know. So if you If you want to connect on Instagram, just send me a DM. Let me know who you are. When I know who you are, then I will go ahead and click that approve button. So my apologies, David. Again, nothing personal. Blame Notre Dame fans. It's those Golden Domers. Jesus Saves
Yes, he does.
says, what are you both hearing about offensive coordinators? And was the Kevin Sperry move the reason why?
What reason why?
I'm
Hmm.
assuming I'm assuming the reason, like, I guess the implication there is that
They didn't
Kevin
fire anybody
Sperry.
because of reason because of Kevin Sperry. I'm not following that.
Well, I think that what the implication there is that the reason Kevin Sperry flipped was because he didn't like XYZ
Oh
guy who's going to be the next
no,
offensive coordinator.
no, no. And I know why you just suddenly got quiet and left that over to me because you understood what he was asking. I am not even going to go down that route until after National Signing Day. But that
Okay.
is a recruitment that is full of
Weird.
weird drama behind the scenes, and that's about as much
A
as
lot
I'm
of
going
it.
to say of it.
A lot of it.
Mhm.
Yeah. So to answer your question there, Jesus Saves, obviously, as far as OC is concerned, the leader in the clubhouse right now appears to be Ben Arbuckle. I think that's kind of the consensus. Now, I will say there are more interviews being conducted this week. The process is not over. Jake Spavital is a guy whose name I've continued to hear, and a little bit more lately among credible sources. Cade Bell has picked up some steam. Again, I think everybody is playing second fiddle right now collectively to Arbuckle. If you're making me put money on who it is, I believe Arbuckle is the next offensive coordinator at the University of Oklahoma. But let's see how this thing goes. Still a lot of time for things to change, for other developments to occur. Obviously, there are other programs and other high caliber programs that are in the market for offensive coordinators. Florida State being one, Wisconsin being another, and there will be more vacancies that continue to open. But with Ben Arbuckle's home territory being pretty dang close to Oklahoma, he's from Canadian, Texas,
Mhm.
which is 3 hours west of Norman, as well as the prestige that the university offers and the personnel that this team's going to bring back on the offensive side of the ball. There's a lot to get excited about if you're a guy like Ben Arbuckle and you're looking at that Oklahoma vacancy. So that's who I like for the job right now. We'll see how we're feeling by the end of the week.
Totally
Um,
agree, but I'm going to say this: if it's not Ben Arbuckle, folks, which we kind of feel that that's where it's trending, it's not a done deal, despite what some people want to say publicly, just so they can be first. But um, go look where whoever had whatever offensive coordinator has a young sophomore-ish, junior-ish quarterback. That's probably where BB's I am. He wants somebody that can come in and potentially compete with Arnold and Hawkins.
and you know who fits that bill? Jake Spavital, who's got
Yep.
Sawyer Robertson,
Yep.
and Cade Bell, who's got Eli Holstein.
Yep.
So
I never thought, man, Holstein throws the ball so weird, but yet it's so that was like his holdup, right? This same Eli Holstein that was at Alabama, right? And
that
I'm
is
talking
correct.
about
He was
that
at
he
Alabama,
had the
transferred to Pitt.
weirdest throwing motion of all time.
The weirdest throwing motion of all time belonged to Taylor Martinez. Tyler
No, that's
Buckner
fair. That's
is a
fair.
close second.
But he's successful with it. He was successful in high school. He was really good at camps that we went to and watched him compete at. But it was always like, how the hell is he getting the ball there?
Yeah. This kind of rolls right into the next super chat from Blake Wilson, $5 contribution. Thanks, Blake. We appreciate it. He said, I'm still waiting on some news on a new OC. I'm hearing Ben Arbuckle rumors. What do you guys have to say on it? I don't know what the hire is right now. Yeah. So again, we kind of just addressed all of that in tackling the previous question. So hopefully you found your question answered therein. Ben Arbuckle seems to be the odds on favorite. As we know in coaching searches and have learned over the years, they can bring twists. So this thing may have another barrel roll or two left in it. We'll see. The next super chat is from Virgil Walker. Thanks, Virgil.
Appreciate you, Virgil.
Great to see you in the super chat. Hope you're doing well, my friend. Question: do you think we'll lose Beatonbow with the new OC? If so, do you think that's good or bad? Keep doing what you do, man. Thanks for all your work. Thank you, for your work as well, Virgil. And I think Brandon and I'm going to go ahead and put words in Brandon's mouth. I feel like I can answer this for him as well as for myself. I don't think Bill Bedenbaugh is going anywhere.
No,
I fully
I
expect he will be back at Oklahoma next season.
yeah, no, you're right. He's again, it would be suicide for you to not bring in Fasusi, Foj, you know what I mean? Afalava. That would just be suicide. Suicide. I couldn't imagine Brent Venables doing that. And I look, flowers need to be given out, Parker. The offensive line played an awesome game on Saturday. Is it how many games it was? 11 games in. It's a little late to start kicking the tires around and playing well, but truth is that they played musical chairs forever, man. Like they played musical chairs. You cannot have a good offensive line when you're either hurt, you have three starters out, both your tackles are hurt, you're having to keep flip-flopping your center. Like that just isn't a recipe for success. And I'm glad they're starting to find it. I like the fact that you got to see EPL a little bit during the series
That
or
was fun,
two.
wasn't it?
Yep. But um things are starting to move in a positive direction there. And I think we'll see if that continues this Saturday. I think that's kind of the big deal. Like, was it? I know BV said that it wasn't a fluke. We all know it wasn't defensively. Was it a fluke offensively? Is that? I think that's the biggest question everybody wants answered.
Let me use EPL to highlight a point that I want to make here. And this goes back to Caden Green last year because he was really the first example in the Oklahoma circle of something like this occurring. But EPL to me is a prime example of a dude that in the modern age of college football, you're going to have to worry, like actively worry about retaining, not because he wants to leave the University of Oklahoma or he doesn't like Bill Bedenbaugh or whatever, but just because the way it is these days, other programs see a guy like that on the field making an impact as a true freshman, and especially for a guy like that where he's not in the lineup, but when you do see him on the field, you can see the potential. Man, there I have no doubt. I have no doubt whatsoever. There will be other programs that use the back channels to try and see whether they can coax somebody like Eddie Pierre-Louis into the transfer portal at season's end, because it's all that much easier to do when you're dealing with a guy that is geographically far from home. Nobody's going to bother tampering with Xavier Robinson because they're going to look at his bio and go, "Oh, he's from Midwest City, Oklahoma. Yeah, forget it. He's sooner born, sooner bred."
No, he's going to
Same,
get paid anyways. Yeah.
yeah. No, with Eddie Pierre-Louis, like that is a prime example of a guy that, due to no fault of his own, no, I don't think he has a wandering eye or anything, but this is just the reality of the game these days.
Yep.
Those are the types of dudes that you got to hang on to. And roster retention these days is, and that wasn't even a term we were using 5 years ago. Now that's half the battle in the offseason
Mm-hmm.
is just keeping things on track with the guys that you already have on the roster.
And real
Sorry,
quick
go
on
ahead.
that note, yeah, no, I was talking to a source earlier this past week, and that conversation got brought up. And I'll just go quote this source, and y'all can take it for what it is. I'm just a messenger. And they said, I'm really like in outside of BV's tenure, outside of um, Green, um, I guess Dylan Gabriel a little bit, even though he kind of was forced out. Um, Trying to think who else would be one that was like a surprise person that left.
Dalen Smothers.
Dalen Smothers. There's been like maybe five or six, right? And they said outside of a handful or two, everybody that left was either processed out or pretty much asked to leave. And by you, it's an ego thing. It's a thing where it's not that you don't pay them, you just kind of you don't give them what they feel they're worth, and they'll go somewhere else because somebody else is going to give them what they feel they're worth. And that's how they get rid of them now. And That's how BV's his roster's always been. And he said it's because of culture. And they said that right now the culture is as good as it's ever been. Even in this, he said, walking down the halls, you would think they were 13-0. They were going to the playoffs and be playing for a national title the way everybody's acting inside the Switzer Center because it's the closest unit, it's the closest team that person has ever been around. And that to me is exactly what they're building for. And I also think it's why you don't see Oklahoma have to pay $20 million to have a top 10 roster. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Because people want to be around people they love.
Yeah.
Sometimes that's greater than money. Now, that's not every case. And I'm not saying it is, and that person isn't either, because money does play a huge part in all this. So you still got to pay up, but sometimes you don't have to pay as much. I mean, Fusi is a prime example. OU isn't the biggest payer, and yet he chose it because of culture and development.
Mm-hmm. Alex Villalpando in the chat asked, Parker, Alex here from Miami, Oklahoma. Got to ask, man, what's your intrigue about Pitcher, Oklahoma? Well, Alex, I'm going to drop you a link right now in the chat. It is the work of journalism that I am most proud of, and it will answer that question for you. So there you go. But
First time I ever traveled with Parker, I watched it. He had me watch it because that's how proud he is of it. And I watched it. It's very entertaining. So go watch it.
Mongo threw us another $10 and said, will BV add Steve Spurrier Jr. to the staff if he doesn't go somewhere else right away? What do you think, Brandon?
I would love that. Oh my God, would I love that.
I like Steve Jr.
I'll tell you a little story about him real quick.
Okay.
I run a 40 at their camp, and I was on the recruit level. Jason White, Wes Sims, Wes Welker. I don't know if y'all remember James Killion from Medford, or Morrison. I can't remember where it's one of those towns.
Medford, you're correct.
Medford, yeah. Does anybody remember Vincent? My gosh, he played for Vian, the tight end that passed away in a car wreck. Anyways, he did it like shortly after it, and he was an OU offer. We were all on the same floor. Long story short, I ran a 4.51, and I remember him putting his arm around me, and I kid you not, the exact. He said, "Man, we like you, but you're gonna need to get some lead in your ass and get a little bit more weight up before we offer you. You might want to go JUCO and get some of that done." I was like, just such a Spurrier phrase to me. I was like, yes, sir. Yes, sir. Oh, and by the way, right before that, Teddy Lemon ran a 4.38.
Yeah. 4.51 probably wasn't near as impressive.
No, it wasn't as cool as the
4.38. And a legend was born that day.
Yes, it was.
Unfortunately, it wasn't.
And he told everybody he was going to do it too, by the way.
Oh, yeah. No, that's how the story goes. Next super chat here. Steve O'Rolo, $5. It is his 20th contribution. Steve, thank you. Stevie Rowland is his name. Thank you so much, sir. So, Boomer Sooner, no question, just feels so good to win, and to do it against Bama makes it all the more sweet. Appreciate you both. We appreciate you as well, sir. Glad you're living it up today in the aftermath of an Oklahoma win. The fan base, they deserved that one. And that was why I said, in the postgame column that I wrote, I was like, my initial feelings on rushing the field was, it's Oklahoma. Don't do this. Like, act like you've been there. Act like you've done it before. But the more I ruminated on it, the more I realized, man, as frustrating as this season has been, shoot, man, let it happen. Not necessarily for the fans' sake primarily either, but for the sake of those seniors. Like, they deserve to feel the fullness of how special that moment is and was. And I'm glad those guys got to experience it. $5 from David Chamberlain, who says, how do you guys think the LSU game will go? Also, if OU beats LSU, how do you think the portal goes with guys coming and going?
Okay, what was the question again? LSU.
How do you guys think the LSU game will go? And if OU beats LSU, how do you think the portal goes with guys coming and going?
I don't know that has any sort of bearing on who. I think at this juncture of the season, it feels like the players know we're leaving. Like they know. It's pretty obvious who's staying and who's going by game 12, right? I think that's got to be clear, right, Parker? Like I think OU knows. I think there are going to be some, and look, all after this game, you're going to start to see a lot of guys enter the portal like real quick because OU and the rest of college football is going to have to start having these conversations because National Signing Day is rolling around and the portal is rolling around. They're going to have to deal with the portal while they're in the bowl games and the playoffs. Like that's going to be the most interesting dynamic, Parker, is how this whole extended playoff and how these teams that are in is it a deterrent to them being able to practice for a playoff game and get the players in to come in for the portal? Like that's a lot of juggling you're going to have to do. And I know that's why you have support staff and all that, but that's still a lot of people and a lot of stuff on your plate for a certain amount of people. And so it's going to be a really interesting time. Even the bowl season, I think it's going to be really interesting. Um, what do you think about the LSU game, Parker? Because I'm
That
gonna
line
sit.
feels steep to me. And
That's where I was headed. There's a part of me that feels like this is
like I said,
has a
with
weird.
as
This ending has a weird feeling, right? Like the whole
well, with
season
as
is weird
streaky
positively.
with as streaky as LSU has been, and with as streaky as Oklahoma has been,
Yeah.
with the knowledge in particular that Alabama steamrolled LSU by 30 points 2 weeks before getting drubbed in Norman. This feels like a game that, if anything, should be tilted in Oklahoma's favor and more realistically should be a pick 'em. I would be okay with LSU -3 for home field advantage's sake, but -6.5 feels steep.
Yeah. It's -7 now. Is that what you said? That
It's
was
minus six
five.
and a half is what I saw earlier
So it's
today.
went up. It was five and a half when it first hit, if I remember right. Wow. Um, that's still steep. I I don't know how I feel about it, but I do know I feel like Oklahoma is going to be in this game the whole time. I think Oklahoma matches up well with LSU. I really do, particularly because they've given up 13 sacks in the last 2 weeks, and Oklahoma has just been their defensive front has gone scorch earth the last month. So like I like Oklahoma's chances. I really do. I don't
I
know
mean,
why.
here's how I see it. There's no reason Oklahoma can't execute the exact same game plan that they used against Alabama last Saturday, which is to
Yeah.
just run, and run some more, use Xavier Robinson and Jackson Arnold as sledgehammers, and then just let the defense do their thing. Do your best to win the time of possession battle. Let those guys get fresh, shorten the game, limit the amount of possessions that they have to defend, and you can beat LSU the exact same way you beat Alabama.
Well, Alabama beat LSU the exact same way Oklahoma beat Alabama. And that was run, run, run. I believe they had almost 400 yards rushing, and they ran Jalen Milrow and um, oh my gosh, homeboy from Tyler, Texas. I just went blank. Running back,
Running
uh,
back from Tyler, Texas, Taylor Tatum,
Alabama,
or no,
Alabama.
I did. Taylor Tatum's from Longview and East
Yeah,
Texas. Tyler, running back at Alabama.
yeah. He played with Jordan Renaud in high school.
I'm drawing a blank.
He was a running back for Alabama last week. I
I know
just
I'm
drawn
drawing
a
a
blank
blank.
too. I
I,
just complete. I
I
see it and I just drew a blank. Anyways, doesn't matter. They went wild on him. They didn't throw the ball a whole lot. All they did was run all over. And LSU is hugely susceptible. It's Jamarian Miller, by the way.
there you go.
Um. Oh, thank you, James. I see, or just James. I see that now. Jamarian. He says Haynes or Jim. It's Jamarian Miller. Anyways, um. They ran the quarterback all over him, like literally. Naysayer went wild, and I think that's what you do. You get Jackson Arnold, you get Xavier Robinson, and whoever else you want to have running the ball, and you just power football, beat them down to the point that That's what Alabama went scorched earth on them. So I mean, I like OU. That's why I think OU matches up with them, because what OU's good at, LSU's bad defending. And as good as LSU's offensive line has been, they have shown cracks the last month.
Mm-hmm.
There's a reason why they lost 3 games in a row. Like they've had cracks in that offensive line. The offensive line that was amazing to start the season, Parker, they barely gave up any sacks, and now all of a sudden they're struggling.
Hey, we have another super chat from David Chamberlain. It's his 20th lifetime contribution to the channel. We'll get to that in just a second. Thank you, David, for your continued support. First, now feels like an opportune time to let y'all know that we have a little announcement. And for those of you that are longtime members of the OU Insider crew, for one, we appreciate you sticking with us all these years. It's really, really cool in particular to see and hear from folks that have been members of the site since inception, almost 30 years ago, when Brian Bishop dreamed this thing up in the early ages of the internet in the late 90s. But this is something that won't necessarily take those folks by surprise because we've done it several years running now. But it is almost signing day. And because it is almost signing day, we have another OU Insider signing day special coming your way. Next Wednesday, we're going to be doing, are we going 3 hours, Brandon? Is that the plan? I believe the plan is to go 3 hours. So, we're gonna kick off at 7:00 p.m. Central Time. Now, here's how this affects our schedule for next week. We're not going to have the regularly scheduled Monday stream. So, mark your calendars now. We will not have the regular stream on Monday like the one you are watching now. What we will have is a 3-hour signing day special next Wednesday, December 4th, 7:00 p.m. Central Time. We're going to do interviews. We're going to do analysis. We will show you tape on every single one of Oklahoma's 20 current commits. And who knows, Brandon, there might be another one before long. And Caleb Burns, whom we haven't talked about yet in this stream, OU's working actively to flip the 3-star linebacker from Baylor right now. Hosted him for an official visit this weekend. He's not signing until February. At least that's the plan right now. So we'll have to see how quickly a final decision gets made between Baylor and Oklahoma. There is the possibility, an outside chance, that Oklahoma adds a 21st commit to the class between now and next Wednesday. But for the 20 guys that are members of the class,
add 2, Parker. They could actually add 2 by National Signing Day.
Oh, and here I am forgetting all about the man right up the road in Muskogee, America. Yeah, that's on the table as well. Who knows whether the Sooners make a move, and a successful one at that, to lock down Jamarian Ficklin. But analysis, interviews, we will hear from some of these guys live. It is an extravaganza every single year. Last year, we did it at Sooner Daiquiri, the place over there on Main Street that's run by Michael Patterson McDonald's father, Larry. It was an awesome time. David Stone stopped by. Jaden Jackson stopped by. X Robinson, he stopped by. We had several other guests via the phone line, via Zoom, including Reggie Powers, Devon Mitchell. And we ran 3 hours last year. It flies by every single year. And we're hoping this year is the best signing day special of all. We're going to do a lot of legwork between now and next Wednesday to make it so. So we hope you will join us. Very, very excited to bring that to you. Now, David Chamberlain threw us $5, 20th lifetime contribution to the channel, and said, is December 2nd a good estimate on announcing an OC? Because signing day is the 4th and the portal opens up about a week later.
I'd say December 1st.
Yeah. I was going to say that might be that might not be optimistic enough, David. Shoot.
I bet it. I actually, during the game, I bet you.
Would you be shocked if the news becomes unofficially official on November 30th? Because I wouldn't at this rate. Yeah. So the Sooners are going to move quick. Promise you that. They'll move quick with this hire.
Yeah, it just feels like I talked to a source tonight, and it feels like they're and I'll quote them, They are in the closing stages of this thing. This person would know. I'll just say that. So
Okay. So there you go. Another $5 super chat from Steve Orolo. Not obvious to us. We need names. Give us dirt. We need details. I know. Just kidding. Agreed. We match up nicely with LSU. OU by 10. So there's an optimistic outlook for you from Stevie Rowland. One more game left in the regular season. Then we
weird,
find
man.
out where the Sooners are headed for their bowl matchup. The two
Birmingham
most
Bowl.
the two most likely bowl
Oh,
destinations for our fine colleague Jesse Crittenden are the Liberty Bowl in Memphis, which takes place on December 27th.
I'd be down
That
with
would
that.
suck because that means we'll be traveling on Christmas and or
Yeah,
in Memphis
Memphis
on
though.
Christmas.
Yeah.
However, the other, and in my mind, the far more coveted bowl destination would be the Gasparilla Bowl in Tampa on December 20th. Get to go to Tampa, maybe catch a Bucks game. I got to see what their schedule looks like, how it matches up
They're
with
playing. Oh my God, they're playing Dallas. I think.
in Dallas. Please
I
be in Tampa.
almost,
I can't believe
I
I'm saying
almost
that.
feel like it's. I almost feel like it's in Tampa because Caden got selected to go to the future selection down in
It's in Dallas.
Naples.
It's in
Oh,
Dallas on the 22nd.
because I
So
was
hey,
looking at it.
maybe can be back for it.
Ooh. Well, yeah, I mean, I hope it's that one because I'll be down there anyways because I'm going to take Caden to that stinking camp, top 150 kids, middle school kids. So
By the way, Mongo, this is a hilarious comment in the chat from Mongo. My bank thought someone stole my card. That's how you know you're a diehard super chatter right there. A degenerate super chatter.
that's so cool.
We love you, Mongo. Thanks for all your support.
Let me ask you something. If the bowl people are smart, do you know what you do, right? Like it's so easy.
Yep.
You don't there doesn't need to be like and 90% of them aren't going to be conference affiliation now because the playoffs have screwed everything up when it comes to that because they're taking such a big chunk of the bowl eligible guys out of it that the New Year's Six bowls are going to get the pick of the litter, right? That the like the second, third tier pick of the litter that normally wouldn't get it, which is just going to be a domino effect down. If you're smart, bowl people that are watching, I know you're not, but if you were, I'm going to sit here and tell you, for the love of all that is good and holy, you make an OU USC game and you make it now.
Or an OU Nebraska game.
Or no,
Either
you know,
one.
like something.
Those will do numbers. OU USC, OU Nebraska. Those are the two bowl season matchups that everybody wants. I don't want to see OU play Minnesota. Okay. And neither does anyone else.
No.
Nebraska or USC. Please and thank you. I know our voices do not mean anything and they
If you had
do
a
not
third one, who would
echo
it
in the
be?
landscape of top tier collegiate athletics.
If you had a
But
third one, who would it be?
Washington State, the Ben Arbuckle Bowl.
No, I would they could they do same conference? Is that allowed now since everything else is all jacked up?
I don't know.
Because if so, you want it to be Arkansas. That would be fun.
That would be fun.
I just think that would be hilariously fun.
Rematch
Or
with Mizzou.
oh, that would be awesome. Um, I mean, yeah, I think that's probably the gist of the big names that you would want to play, right? Like maybe Clemson, if you could somehow make that work and they weren't making the playoffs or something. Like if OU was 7-5, maybe they could, make that work. That would actually be a good one.
Hey,
So
as we sit here tonight, Brandon, over 7.5 wins is still on the table somehow. That's something to play
it
for these last
is.
couple
How
games.
crazy is that? How crazy is
You
that?
can
Like
legitimately, like in all technicality, you can say you exceeded expectations if you beat LSU and win the bowl game.
that's true. Jimmy Satterfield said Colorado would be the one they would want if it wasn't. I totally that would be fun. Brent Venables versus Dion after everything they both have said.
Yeah,
Hell
didn't
yes.
BV? He definitely threw some shade at Mario
He threw
Cristobal at
shade.
Big 12 Media Days. I
And
believe he threw
and
some at Coach Prime too.
yes, he did. Yep. Yep. Oh man. Awesome.
Bring it
All
on.
right. So Jaden O'Neal was in town, and let me tell y'all, that dude is locked in, like locked in. It From my conversations that I've had, it feels like BV has kind of made it mandated that no matter who the new OC is, that's their man, that's their
And
guy.
there's no reason why that shouldn't be
No,
the
like
guy.
what do
No,
you
no
why?
offensive coordinator should have any problem with Jaden O'Neal being their foundational piece in their first full recruiting class at
Correct.
Oklahoma. That dude, like, especially given the fact that he's from Harbor City, California, Brandon,
Yeah,
that unlocks the West Coast for you.
correct. And on top of that, if you're gonna hate on Seth Luttrell all you want, you know what you can do is the one thing you can do. You can give him props for getting Jaden O'Neal.
Well done,
Like you
Seth.
got to give him props for that.
Well done. Um, One more super chat from David Chamberlain. What are Stutzman's chances of winning the butt kiss? That dude deserves it
Mm,
so badly. Um, I, I'm not terribly optimistic, David, and
mm-mm.
here's why. Because he's got 100 tackles on the season. Outside of the tackles, there's not a lot. And I feel like that might come back to bite him when the selectors make their selections because he doesn't have any interceptions. He only has one sack. And so the body of work isn't as diverse for him as it will be for some of the other guys in contention. So uh, look, great that he's a finalist, and he talked about that tonight. He said, "Doesn't mean anything till I go and win it. I'm a finalist, great." He got asked about his campaign strategy, and he said, "I want to go beat LSU this weekend and play a great game. That's the best campaign that I can do." So he's
True.
got the right mentality about all of it. It'll be a tall task, not impossible, but uh, it's also and not to make it overly because honestly people see those big national awards and they say, okay, well, they're going to pick the most deserving player based on the statistics. Yes, but also what does it say when you look at the butt kiss selection criteria? It mentions leadership, it
Mhm.
mentions feel like all these intangibles are things that have been evident for years in Danny Stutzman's play at Oklahoma. So
Yeah,
that is the one thing that can maybe give him a leg up on the pack is the intangibles that roll into the selection criteria for the Buckus.
totally agree. I hope he has an interception, like a pick six or something this weekend. It would be great for his chances. But I got two things here. Aaron J said it, and exactly what I was thinking when you were talking was if he doesn't win it, which gosh, if there anybody deserves it, it's him. Kip Lewis next year, the guy that gets pick six is the guy that it seems to always be in the right place at the right time when it comes to interceptions, batting the ball down, getting sacks, so that type of thing. Like that's what he does. He's a stat patter. He's very very good at it, and I think he has a chance to be up there next year as one of the finalists as well. The second thing, I mean, we haven't even talked about the atmosphere this weekend. Like that's going to be so awesome. You get neck, you get Death Valley at night. It bucket list check check as far as college football goes, Parker. Like that is awesome. It's
Yeah.
exciting.
And Seth Ammerman threw us one final super chat and said, if we beat LSU, is Oklahoma redeemed?
Mm,
Not necessarily, but
you win 8 games, you are.
you win 8 games. Again, you can technically say that you exceeded expectations. And moreover, you can go into the 2025 season with a much more optimistic narrative
Mhm.
nationally than you've really ever carried into a season before. Because it seems like every single offseason the talk is, well, Oklahoma might not be as advertised. I think the talk surrounding Oklahoma and Florida will be very similar this offseason, which is, man, those teams really struggled in the early stages. They had some things they had to figure out. They had some mistakes they had to rectify. They had to do some personnel shuffling to figure out what worked best. But once they did, we all saw what those programs are capable of and the reality that they can hang with anybody, that they can beat anybody. And so I think Florida and Oklahoma are going to be on everybody's watch out list in 2025. especially if Oklahoma can beat LSU this weekend and then go win a bowl game. Jacob Matthews
20
threw us
years
another.
later, Parker. 20 years later. OU almost had this exact same season. Injuries took place, obviously, in
Yep.
2005. A lot of injuries. Actually, the wide receiver unit was so depleted, they were playing a bunch of freshmen. I want everybody to remember that.
Mm-hmm.
And now you're going into this next year, like, and if Oklahoma can go somehow and beat like a top 5 team, like they did, like Oregon in the Holiday Bowl that year, and end up being that hot team going into 2006, they were the number 1 team. Most people thought they were the team that was going to win the title. Rhett Bomar was going to win the Heisman, and obviously things fell off, but they still were a really good season. They went to BCS Bowl.
So
But
which wide
that's what you can be
receiver is
looking
playing
at.
quarterback next year then?
I know what you're doing there with Paul Thompson, but
Yeah.
he was a quarterback first when he showed up to Norman.
That is true. That is true. Jacob
Go ahead.
Matthews threw us another $5, by the way, and said just joined. But I want to say that I said we should run the wishbone a few weeks back. Looks like it would have worked. Yeah, maybe so. I mean, that was just basically a modernized version of the option offense at Oklahoma that had so much success back in the day. David Chamberlain gave us another $5 and said for both of you, offensive MVP and defensive MVP from Saturday. So that's referring to this past week's game. Defensive MVP for me was Eli Bowen. He's already one of the best cornerbacks in the country, and he is so much fun to watch. He is fearless, and that is the quality that, for my money, matters the most at the cornerback position. An ability to just get out there, trust the technique, play with confidence, and play with aggression, controlled aggression. You saw that from Eli Bowen. He had his first career pick, had a fantastic night overall, limited Ryan Williams to 2 catches for 37 yards. And then I think the offensive MVP, the easy answer is Xavier Robinson. And maybe this won't help me much in the effort to get unblocked, but I will actually go with Jackson Arnold because, besides the fact that he ran for 131 yards of his own accord on 25 carries, the other thing, Brandon, was he made spectacular reads all night long, made the correct reads over and over and over again. And you rewind to the tape on the Tennessee game, and it's like, man, what is this guy seeing? Can he get a read right? On Saturday, he couldn't get a read wrong.
Yeah, I'll go with Xavier Robinson on offense because it was such an easy one. Timber Creek's finest. I will forever. That's what.
There you go.
Timber Creek's finest. That's our housing edition, by the way. And defensively, everybody wants me to say Kip Lewis, and I'm not going to do it, even though he probably is up there. And Danny Stutzman be up there. I'm going to say Jaden Jackson. Jaden Jackson. Cole Kublik called him one of the most underrated defensive tackles in all of college football and one of the best defensive tackles in all of college football. He's a freshman, folks. A freshman. So there's that. I enjoy that. I enjoy how he plays. He's getting recognition now. He's going to be a name across the college football landscape moving forward because people like Cole Kublik are starting to take notice of him. He set the tone for the OU defense on the interior of the defensive line, and I think that really helped Oklahoma win the ball game. So,
all right,
is there one more? I thought there was one more after that. Oh, that was it. All right. Hey, appreciate you guys. This went a little bit over an hour and 10 minutes or so. And we thank you guys for that. We always love to show our appreciation for you guys and get as many questions answered and talk to you guys about as much as we can. If you're not subscribed to this YouTube channel or subscribe to whatever podcast platform you listen to us on, please like, subscribe, give us a thumbs up, give us 5 stars. We really appreciate that. Helps us. Also, if you are a military member, if you are a teacher, you are a college student, you have a .edu and or you can prove that you are active duty, please email us ouinsider@rivals.com, $11.95. We will send you a promo code. You get OU Insider for 1 year for $11.95. Again, active duty military, teacher / college student. Doesn't matter where you teach, doesn't matter where you go to college, doesn't matter which armed force branch you are. You prove that you are that, and you email us from a .edu or a .ok or whatever you have as far as your your education email, or your active duty military email, we will email you back a promo code from ouinsider@rivals.com. And that promo code will get you OU Insider for $11.95 for the whole year. Also, pay attention this week. Black Friday sale is about to pop. Cyber Monday sale will also be popping. And I'm telling you, the 1 year deals for those of you not a part of that little grouping is fantastic. I believe it. Is it going to be 75%, Parker?
I don't know.
Oh, you are not an email person. Let me
No,
look
I
real
read the
quick.
email. I just don't remember.
I don't either. I took a screenshot of it though, so I can tell you real quick because I'm supposed to send it to Spencer. Um, it usually is between 60, it's 75% off, annual 75% off, which means Black Friday, $26 will get you $100 worth in value. So either way, OU Insider VIP is going to be worth it. National Sign Day is coming up, transfer portal, the OC search, the LSU game, OU's bowl game. Obviously, we're going to cover baseball, basketball, softball, football, recruiting, spring game, all the official visits, all of that, junior days. It never stops. I'm telling you all, the news never stops on OU Insider VIP. Thousands and thousands and thousands of people are already on there. Come join us. I just sent a big mass email. Parker, I kid you not. I got in there today, and from our post game, there was 37 people that wanted to get in on that promo code just in a
Get in on
24-hour
it.
span. So we're there for you. If you want to sign up, come sign up. We will help you guys. OU Insider at rivals.com if you're a college student, active duty, and or teacher. And Black Friday, Cyber Monday, 75% off this coming week for OU Insider VIP.
One more David Chamberlain super chat.
Okay.
$5. To me, it looked like the game finally slowed down for Jackson Arnold, and he played outstanding. What do you guys think? Yeah, shoot.
Yep.
I think it also helped that the game plan was designed to, quite frankly, minimize the amount of mistakes that Jackson Arnold had the potential to make. A lot of the passing schemes that they used were very, very simple. They did not throw the ball often. I think he put it in the air 11 times, and 5 of them were shovel passes. So Jackson Arnold, man, he was just doing what worked. He was making the right reads, as we talked about. And moreover, he was running tough all night long. Love to see that from the kid.
Yeah.
If nothing else, like if you have nothing else good to say about Jackson Arnold, one thing you cannot take away from him is that he plays with heart. He plays with heart.
Yes, he does. And Sooner Cowboys, he got to work on his passing game. He's just got to get confident. That dude can throw. Anybody that wants to say otherwise, you know what you're talking about. That dude can throw the ball. He just doesn't have confidence right now. And there's a lot of reasons why. We can discuss that at another date, but that's the issue. Anyways. All right. Thank you all for watching this version of the OU Insider Under the Visor Sooners YouTube Live, powered by Jani-King, the best to ever clean. For Parker Thune, for Spencer Forsythe, my name is Brandon Drumm. You guys have a blessed night.